Okay, this is the home screen of the iPhone. We're going to click on our application here. This brings us to a splash screen. From this splash screen, we can see it's a Lucy Loot Bitcoin currency validator. Within the pop mockup, there's two scenarios, one which you start by going here and one where you start by clicking here, but this page would just advance after a certain amount of time. So we'll take this scenario. In this scenario, you see we get the first thing that happens is the phone checks and sees that it has no NFC capabilities. And so in a second, it then attempts to bring up the camera interface. You have the icon of the phone, an icon of the bill, and then a button for the camera. Click on the camera button. It goes to a place where you can visually capture the Bitcoin. You take a picture of the Bitcoin currency by clicking there. It auto-loads the serial number, and or alternatively you could enter it manually by typing in on the keyboard here and then clicking done. Okay. After the visual scan is complete, we go out and we try and access the internet, and just in time we find out whether or not we get it. Turns out there was no network, and when we complete all three of those stages, we get a recommendation about whether or not to accept it. In this case, we accept with warnings. If we want to hear the details, we pick here. But to show you what happens with network, you would just click retry. You get network scan complete. We're still accepting with warnings because we weren't able to connect to the NFC reader. And if you click here, you'll get the details. The details in this case show you the list of everything you were able to get, information about the transaction, information about the NFC. In this case, the NFC didn't work, so those should be blank. Information about the visual serial code, whether it was collected from QR code or manually, what the serial number was we got, what the denomination was. I guess that should be added to the visual capture as well. And then if there's network connection, what the network confidence was, the recommendation. You can click on this button to get a more in-depth recommendation of why we recommended that. You can put your own notes here, and you can take a picture here of something that you want to associate with this transaction. I didn't implement why notes or picture in the mockup. So we go back, and once we go through each of these stages, you can't go back and edit them individually. All you can do is reset and try again. So in this case, we reset. We'll try the different scenario, the one where we have NFC. First time we run the NFC, the equipment is there, but we don't actually detect bill. That goes ahead and triggers the camera to appear. But we're going to go back and try and rescan the bill. We capture the bill. Once the bill is captured, we can't rescan it anymore. This time we're going to go and take a picture of the bill. We'll enter it manually this time. Keyboard comes up. We get a serial number. We type in. There should also be something here where we capture the denomination. I forgot that. And then we hit done. Okay, now we're going out and we're checking the internet. And there are two scenarios here also, I think. One where the network doesn't come through, in which case we accept, we have details. Then we can retry, and the network scan is complete. In this case, we got our NFC, we got a visual scan, we got our network scan. We accept without reservations in this case. We can still get details if we want. All right, at this point, we might want to go and check our history. Our history shows all the scans that we've completed. We can get detail about them. Looks like the other page. This is just the transaction view. Shows you a list and time. Over here are icons representing whether it was accepted, accepted with warnings, or rejected. They don't really link to anything. Right here is a button that looks like a refresh button, and the idea is that when you click this, it would go through all the elements where you didn't have network connection at the time and try and retry the network connection. That's a little hacky, but it's there. All right, done. The history, that should go back to the previous page, but because of limitations in POP, we weren't able to do that. The About button just goes to a web view of a web page that we can look at with information about what's going on here. And then we finally go back to the main page and start again. Okay, that's about it. If you have any questions, bring them up in the EEE forum and we'll try and iron out any details. Thanks.